Don't be stupid, boys. Turn off Clyde, support your side.
I would like to leave this city. This old town don't smell too pretty, and I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. And when I leave this island, I book myself into a soul asylum, 'cause I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. So here I go, I'm still scratching around in the same old hole. My body feels young, but my mind is very old. So what do you say? You can't give me the dreams that are mine anyway. Half the world away, half the world away, half the world away. I've been lost, I've been found, but I don't feel bad.
And the Hoops fans with their rendition of You'll Never Walk Alone, the history of 67, you know, the Lions of Lisbon and that great victory over Inter. They've made another Champions League or European Cup final. So this club's got huge history in Europe. You know, the intimidation factor. I know Barca are Barca, but does that play any part in this match?
Oh, look, when you walk out to this ground, you can feel the atmosphere, and you can understand why Celtic's home record is so strong, because they really do play with a 12th man. Any team that goes there finds it difficult, and especially the first 5 or 10 minutes. What a great stadium, great atmosphere, and you know, nights like these, that what it's all about.
What a scene. This is paradise in the background. Okay.
And Dyke flicking it on. Forrest! Some save from Valdez. Commons will take the corner though. And it's gone just wide. Charlie Mulgrew.
Well, it looked inches wide.
Neymar. Scott Brown trying to keep up with him. Might be a yellow card coming Scott Brown's way.
That's not a bad free kick to give away. Well, he did the right thing, the Celtic player. Stopped the Barca momentum. There is cover there. This is a yellow, surely.
Oh, it's a red. He had the yellow out initially, and now the Celtic captain sees red.
I'm sorry, so sorry, that I was such a fool. I didn't know love could be so cruel. Oh, yes. You tell me are part of being young, but I don't right the wrong that's been done. I'm sorry.
A pill to swallow for Celtic, who beat Barcelona at this stadium last season in the Champions League in the group stage, but Scott Brown, their captain, sent off in the second half, and they copped a goal late through Cesc Fabregas after having some excellent opportunities to go up against the might of FC Barcelona. David Zrilic and Željko Kalac with me. An entertaining match, but a little bit unfortunate the home side.
Oh, very, very unfortunate. I thought Celtic deserved at least a point out of that match. I thought they were really fantastic. Great display. Really, really disappointing their captain Brown to see what he'd done and really let his teammates down, his manager and his supporters, because look, after he got sent off, Barcelona just kept possession of the ball, made it really, really difficult for Celtic to get the ball. And all credit to Celtic, they kept fighting, they fought for each other right till the death. They had some great opportunities to even hit the lead, but great teams, they always punish you. I think Barcelona had one chance up until the goal, and then after that, obviously, Celtic pushed a lot of men forward. Barca had a few more opportunities to score. Forster was outstanding for Celtic in goal. And, they've had two great performances, Celtic, in the Champions League and got 0 points. And that's got to be really, really disheartening for Neil Lennon and his men.
Yeah, and look, when you look at the challenge from Brown, it's just ridiculous because I tell you what, you work so hard and you do so. I just don't understand it. I mean, what's going through your head? You go out on the pitch and you put in a performance which is another massive performance already against Barcelona. They can't create. They've been struggling to get through. And then you go and do that. He's actually gone after him. He's checked his run to go after him and kick him. Any Celtic fans out there, that's just, you've just killed your side. You've killed your side because what happens is it was already difficult. They were actually starting to really frustrate Barcelona at this period. And what's happened then? You're just already giving Barcelona, already had 72% possession in the first half. You're giving them more energy now to break you down, and eventually they're going to do it. I mean, there's a top side. They're going to create chances. And credit to Celtic with 10 men. They still went up there and before the goal had two brilliant chances. So they're not going to be happy with Brown at all because he's just put them really in a difficult situation and he's handed Barcelona the win. Neymar was getting all the jeers, but, he kicked him.
The red card, was it a red card? You've seen it again.
No, I'm not convinced it is. I'm not convinced if there's any contact, it's minimal. It is in front of the referee, but there was a lot else going on in the game out there that warranted more than what Scott got tonight. So it changed the game. It's hard enough playing Barcelona with 11 men, down to 10 men, but again, I can't speak highly enough for the players.
Charlie, does that feel like another hard luck story?
Of course, after going down to 10 men so early in the second half, it was always going to be an uphill battle for us, but I thought we defended really well at times, and one or two chances, if we took then we might have been a different score.
You're going to look back on that header?
Oh, couldn't get out of my mind. I mean,
talking about the header,
it's an unbelievable chance. I don't know if it looks like on the TV, but I should have scored it.
But they do have a free kick opportunity here as a result of that challenge by Busquets. Van Dijk and Lustig are forward from the back. Charlie Mulgrew. Valdez, a little unconvincing. Celtic think it should be a corner. Goal kick has been given.
Decent whip ball in from Mulgrew. Van Dijk it is who's really going for it.
Good day, good evening, good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are in the world. You're listening to the Half the World Away Celtic podcast from Hail Hail Media. My name's Kevin O'Neill and I'm based in Mandurah, Western Australia. I'm originally from Coatbridge, and over on the other side of this marvellous continent of Australia, in Victoria, sitting on top of a small hill, or maybe it's a mountain, called Spanker Knob, is my
Spanker Knob is
my good friend, Mr. Patrick Close. How are you, Pat?
I'm not bad, Kevin. Late home from work, but never mind. Just looking out this beautiful view at what was it again? What did you call it?
Spanker Knob.
So what did you call it just before we actually went live? What did you call it again?
No, it's the name of the place. If you look it up.
No, just tell people what you called it before.
Knob.
Just tell people what you called it before.
I think I called it Spunker Knob.
You go.
But I didn't mean that. It is a true place name. Now, I must admit, are you sitting in some kind of cubicle or hut or something? Because I can't hear any wind blowing. I believe that you're 285 metres above sea level, Pat.
You're reading the same article I am. Yes, I am, Kev. Yeah, it's pretty close to. I came through a little village of Bruthen, which is about 20 k's away.
That's 20 k's away from Lake Tyers Beach.
Yeah, that's the one actually. Yeah, and I think it's actually 28.7 kilometres away from that. So, and also about 30 k from the lake's entrance. So yeah, it's Spanker Knob. So we should probably explain, or maybe explain to people why we're coming live from Spanker Knob tonight.
Well, for the simple reason it's a lovely part of the world, I believe, and it's quite an unusual name. I think you'll find. Do you agree?
It is got an unusual name, and I think it was voted the rudest name of a town name in the world. So, in some recent poll, so we're quite proud to be coming to you live from not Spunker's Knob, but
Spanker Knob.
Spanker Knob. So yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful place overlooking some trees.
The
and
South
stuff.
Pacific. Oh, for God's sake! Right, enough of this. It's not that kind of podcast.
It's not a Spunker's Knob podcast, no. Okay.
What we're going to try and do for future episodes is find other suitably named bizarre places in Australia, and we'll try and broadcast live from those places in future podcasts. I think we'll struggle to top Spanker Knob right enough, Pat.
No, I think we certainly set our targets pretty high there. We went straight in it, so I think we'll see how we go.
Straight in for the number one bizarre name.
We do have a few sort of up our sleeve that we think are pretty amusing. So we're just going to try to explain to people, because not everyone who listens to this, if anyone does listen to this, not everyone's from Australia. So just let some people know about what's in this neck of the woods. But
it's good. It's an educational kind of slot and educational segment in the programme.
Yes. So just to be honest about this, or to be factually correct about it, so Spanker Knob is actually a place southeast of Melbourne. Down towards Lakes Entrance, so it is actually a genuine place. And
what is?
Lakes Entrance is a beautiful part of the country. So
Lakes Entrance could sound quite. There's connotations about that as well, to be honest. But anyway,
that wasn't on our list though. So anyway, moving on. Yeah.
Anyway, look it up, folks. Spanker Knob. You will find it. And you'll be able to find out as much as myself and Pat found out about it in the last while. Probably, you'll probably find that very same article. However, enjoy yourself perched up on top of that hill, 285 metres above sea level, Pat, and we'll get on with the show. Now, I guess the best way. Usually, I would introduce you to the other people on the panel tonight, but unfortunately. Martin Kelly has been otherwise engaged tonight, and Liam in Japan. Liam's letting us down terribly. He must be romancing big time with his girly, because this is 2 shows in a row that he's missed. So that's not good. But so it's myself and Pat, unfortunately, tonight or today, wherever you're listening. Now, usually myself and Pat, if we're ever having a phone conversation or stuff, we'll usually start arguing. So it's in the best interests of this podcast, if any of you are actually listening in live, please Skype us tonight. Now, you can Skype us on Half the World 88. So if you want to come onto the show and play a significant and prominent part on the show tonight, that will be good. But as usual, probably the best way to interact with us tonight is always on Twitter as well. You can send your tweets to @halftheworld88. So if you get any comments at all, any questions at all, then you can tweet us at that, and we'll try and get through them. I think we'll have plenty of time to get through them tonight, actually. So keep your tweets coming in. There's a few come in already, and also we've got the chat room and Spreaker, and hopefully, Pat, can you keep your eye on that? I always make you do that job, mate, because I can't multitask as well as you.
I'm ready there. Krowski's ready in there. Good eye, Mike.
Krowski's right in there. He's also tweeting as well. So good on you, Krowski. I expect Skype to be going very shortly and you join us, hopefully. So yeah, that's the script tonight. Now, in terms of what we're going to be talking about on the show, we've pretty much agreed between Pat and myself that it's going to be pretty much focusing in on the Barcelona game the other night. Now, first of all, Pat, I'll ask you this question, and thankfully I know the answer this time. Did you watch the game the other night?
I did. We had it on console telly, which was pretty exciting. So anybody who took the opportunity to listen to the intro, we thought we'd give you a bit of an Australian flavour, I guess, and just to let people hear what the commentators over here were saying. We kind of get the same commentators that a lot of people get, not everyone, but a lot of people get in terms of Ian Crocker, Davy Provan. But before that, you get a real sort of 15-minute or so build up, and then sort of 5-10 minutes after the game before they then go in and talk about highlights of the other sort of Champions League games on that day. So we were lucky in that it was on SBS as the TV channel, and yeah, it was. I really enjoyed the coverage. I've got to say, it's much better than that bellend Craig Foster, who I don't even know is on Fox or something. I don't know, but
he used to be on SBS. Craig Foster.
He did, and
he was on it all the time.
Just don't like the guy. I've got to say, it just annoys me. So, and not very complimentary towards us either, which
No, or Scottish football in general, to be honest.
Yeah, and this sort of guy who played in flipping Indonesia and stuff like that. So yeah, he obviously played at a really high standard himself. I think he played for Portsmouth, didn't he? Something like that anyway. But yeah, he wasn't much of a player himself, but he seems to be some sort of prima donna. Thinks he knows better than everyone else. But luckily we had the two guys that you heard were David. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this right, but David Zdrilic, who is an Aussie player and actually played, believe it or not, we found out that he played for Aberdeen. And he played against us as well. So we found a couple of little things on Wikipedia about young David, and it says, let me find this bit again. So he signed for Aberdeen on a 1-year deal, and he made an immediate impact with a goal in 80 seconds on his debut in a friendly against Liverpool, and then he scored against Rangers. But this is the interesting bit. He went in to score 8 goals in all competitions, including the winner in a memorable win over Celtic, which ended Celtic's unbeaten home run of 78 games. So there you go.
Dirty bastard.
He is a dirty bastard, but he likes us. So he was, I said, himself and Zelko Kalac, who, again, it's probably not a name most people know, but he was a goalkeeper. He actually played for AC Milan, so I know he's a goalkeeper, played for AC Milan, believe it or not. But I'm not sure he was much of a goalkeeper, but sort of tall, lanky guy. He must be, oh god, he'd be 6'4", 6'5" at least. But yeah, they were very, very complimentary about I guess the whole thing. I guess the build up to it, the atmosphere at Parkhead, the performance we put in. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's they were actually, as you probably heard from the start, they were really not so much disappointed, but they thought that Celtic were pretty unlucky in the game. But so yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it, got to say.
I think it was good. I mean, when you'd sent me the audio part the other day just to listen to as well, I had actually watched it on ESPN, so it was different coverage, different commentators for those that maybe watched it on satellite in Australia. It was Mark Donaldson, who, again, I think I've mentioned Mark before. He's a Jambo, but he's actually a decent commentator. And he's always very fair to Celtic when I hear him on ESPN. His co-commentator or summariser was good old Sev Coney and Steve Nicol, who finds it very hard to hide his true colours, to be honest. But to be fair to him as well, he made a couple of decent points during the ESPN coverage the other night as well. So that's what I was listening to. But when, as I said, when I listened to the audio that you'd sent of the SBS, it was fairly complimentary, and it's always nice to hear Aussies kind of enthusing about the atmosphere, enthusing about the stadium, and obviously the This Is Paradise display that went up was really good. Personally, I still don't think it bet the Green Brigade's 125 anniversary display, but it was still a really, really good display that Celtic managed to organise for it, and it was impressive. Barcelona, their fans and their players must think that every time Celtic play, they've got this fantastic display on show, because that's the last twice they visited. It must have knocked their socks off.
Did you so you got a kind of clear view on your coverage about the actual display?
Yeah,
I've got to say,
absolutely.
the reason I couldn't even read what it said, but the only reason, and I knew what it said, and the only reason I knew what it said is because the guys on Homeboys on Monday mentioned it,
hmm
and if they hadn't actually mentioned it, I'd be still sitting there going, what does that say?
Yeah.
The whole silvery thing just did not work for me.
Yeah,
So
no, I take your point, and I probably should clarify. When I said it looked great, it did look great, and I could kind of make it out. But the reason I could kind of make it out is because I knew what it was meant to say. I would agree with you, Pat. I don't think the silver did it much use at all. But again, it got the message across, and it did. Again, it did look spectacular. And again, when you saw the cameras panning along the players just as the Champions League anthem was getting played, you can always judge it by the reaction of the away players, and they have a little look round about them just to see how spectacular it is. And it gets. I mean, the Champions League anthem itself always gets the hairs on the back of the neck standing up, but to do it in that cauldron, in that atmosphere of the club we love is just brilliant, and it's great to see the opposition players being distracted by it, to let them know they're in a game. So
did you see any of the Green Brigade display?
There was, I think, on here, yeah. Well, you mentioned earlier on, Pat, that SBS, they showed, they had the Sky Sports commentary. They take the feed from that, so that's obviously Ian Crocker and Davy Provan. But the pictures are always the same, so I'd have been watching the exact same as yourself through ESPN. So there were times where the camera, I think it only went once in the first half, but it did go to the Green Brigade. But if it's the display you're talking about, the Messi display, is that the one where it had? It's got Messi and it's got, I can't remember who from the other teams in the group, but it's basically, it's just having a little dig about, this is paradise, but I can't remember the exact wording. Is that the banner you're referring to, though?
I didn't see it. There was
right. There
was no coverage on us. I was curious what the actual Green Brigade one. I mean, I read that it sort of blended in nice and stuff with what Celtic, as the club had done. But yeah, I was just curious what it actually looked like. So
Kralski I'm sure he'll get onto the case for us right now and tweet it. I did see a picture of it. Just after the game or the day after the game, and it's got Messi's the main kind of focus of the banner that they had, but you've got an AC Milan person and I'm assuming an Ajax person there as well, and it was along the lines of, it was like welcome to paradise, but this is your hell or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but maybe anybody that's listening in, if they could maybe tweet that up, and then Pat can have a little look at it. But it was impressive, that banner. But again, the coverage didn't show you that, but it did show you the Green Brigade fans doing a little bit of jumping around and stuff like that at some points during the game. So, but I guess we've talked about the atmosphere, Pat, and obviously we were up at the early hours of the morning watching it. In terms of the way the game went itself, how do you feel we started in it?
Well, the first minute when we didn't get a touch of the ball was a bit disturbing. It was, I thought that Barcelona might have sort of built up to that sort of approach to the game, but it was the first minute I was sitting there going, Jesus, I don't actually think we touched the ball for possibly a minute to 2 minutes. I mean, quite literally. I was sitting there going, "Oh Jesus, here we go." It was like, here we go. It was like the almost like where they kind of where they left off last time. If you know what I mean, it was just they pegged his back, and that was it. They were straight into it. So yeah, it was.
Is that not just the Barca way though? Not just against us, but pretty much any team they play. It's always possession. It's not just where they left off the last time, but it's where they left off the last time before that, and the time before that, and the time before that. For me, it's what I expect from Barcelona. So I certainly wasn't overly surprised that we were defending and we hardly got a touch of the ball immediately. But in terms of like chances they were creating, usually in these games, Champions League games, I'm always I'm always kind of pessimistic and bloody crapping myself before them anyway, especially when there's potential that if you don't watch yourself, you could be on a real hiding. So, but the way the game was going as well, and they were doing their ticky-tacky stuff, as they say, and they were passing it around very, very impressively and very nicely, but they didn't really seem to trouble us. Did you have that same view, or were you crapping yourself?
Oh, there were little moments. I wouldn't, but I thought I think they dealt really, really well with it. I mean, everyone was focused, concentrated. You know, they stuck to the structure that they obviously were told to follow and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's well, obviously up until that incident, we were dealing with it pretty well. And even again, the Aussie commentators in their kind of summary of the game even said the same thing. I think it was Kalach said it once. I think it was they only had one shot at goal. I think up to that point. Now, I don't know if that was factually correct, but it was whether they actually even had a shot. But I don't really recall. Did Fraser Forster? Neymar had the one that went by the post.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from that, was there any real sort of glaring chances? I'm not sure there was. So
I don't really recall in the first half at all. Apart from, as you said, that Neymar one, that was pretty much a ball came into him in the inside left channel and he took it first time, just past the post. But I don't recall there being any real heart-stopping moments in the first half. I should mention just now that a few of the regulars have tweeted in. Craig has put up the picture, as has Kralski, of that banner that we're talking about, and I've just made a complete arse of myself because it was nothing to do with Welcome to Paradise at all. But it was Brian Murray's also told us what it said, the caption on the actual banner that the Green Brigade held up, and it was "Your fear is here," and it's basically got a picture of Messi and Balotelli, I think, and whoever that is from Ajax,
Frank
and it's Frank de Boer.
One of the Boers, Frank or Ronald.
Which one? One's called Ronald, one's called Frank.
Yeah.
Whatever the song goes, something like that.
Something like that.
But it's got death above them as well there, the old Green Brigade skull as well. So it was quite an impressive banner. But yeah, the cameras didn't necessarily focus in on that, but they did focus in on the Green Brigade kind of jumping around during the game. But it's a pity they never showed that. But it's been all around the internet anyway, the banners that went up. So it was pretty impressive. So anyway, half time it was 0-0 half time, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, we're doing okay here again. And I think on the ESPN commentary, they actually mentioned on that at half time in the game where we beat them last season 2-1, Barcelona had 73% possession. But bizarrely enough, in this game, they only had 72% possession. So ironically, even though they had 1% more possession, it was still 0-0 at half time. So, I mean, personally, I was thinking when they come in, I just love getting, when you're playing a team like Barca, who I think I've said on this before, I've got a huge amount of respect for. I love the way they play football, and I just really enjoy watching them. So, for us to go in at half time 0-0, even although we're at home and all that stuff, I get all that, but for me, it's still a brilliant performance, and we can get the boys in, get them refocused again, and send them out again. Now, when we came in at half time, were you thinking, we've got a little chance here, or let's just hold out? Could you see where a goal was coming from us at all, Pat?
No, I couldn't. At that stage, it was going to be a set piece, or it was going to be a mistake, and they didn't look as if they were going to make a mistake at any stage. It was a couple of little sort of slack passes that they did, but there was nothing really that kind of just gave us an absolute, out and out real chance in front of goal or anything. But set pieces was probably again what I was thinking. I mean, admittedly, we ended up getting our best chance through a set piece anyway. So.
And that's a good point actually, because in the first half, I know we'll come on to that later on, the set piece you're talking about, the Charlie Mulgrew header, but I think looking at that game and looking at our lineup and their lineup, if people remember last season, I think we had the tallest team on going by average height in the competition in the Champions League last season. Barcelona had the smallest. Now again, when you look at our players that were out the other night up against the Barca players, again you'd have to say those stats were fairly similar. And we had quite a few opportunities maybe 2 or 3 opportunities in the first half where we could get cross balls into the box. There was at least 1, maybe 2 corners, and there was a couple of free kicks. But what I noticed, and it really frustrated me, was as soon as the ball came in, there was some silly, niggly little fouls going on, and the referee was very, very quick to blow up and give Barca a free kick. Now, whether that was our naivety, or just whether Barca were cute enough to win the free kicks in those situations, I think you just mentioned it there, Pat, that was one of our biggest chances or biggest ways, or most likely ways of scoring against them the other night. And we really, really ballsed it up. We really didn't make the most of those kind of little half chances that we had, getting cross balls into the box and trying to put them under a bit of pressure. As we said, we had the Charlie Mulgrew header later on in the game, and I heard an audio of Charlie getting interviewed after it, and the poor guy was kicking himself because he knew that was a gilt-edged opportunity. I think we all thought it was, especially when we saw the replay. It was pretty much a free header. That, of course, just followed with Jamesy Forrest having a fantastic effort in goal, but I personally don't think we made enough or made silly mistakes and gave away naive little fouls against Barca when we did get cross balls into the box. Do you think it was naivety, Pat, or do you think Barca were being cute and it was maybe a tactic on their part, given what happened last year?
I'm not sure it was a tactic, but they're obviously very kind of smart players, and they know that it's a strength of the Celtic, especially the big guys coming up from the back, But as you said, the players should be smart enough to know that that's happening, that's coming, because there was a massive advantage. Even when you look, again, we'll mention the Charlie Mulgrew one, but see if you watch the replay, I think one from behind, I swear to God, he must be 2 feet taller than the guy was marking him. He was towering above him, and it was and that's and Charlie's not, I guess, the tallest player. You think of Big Virgil as well. Like he got caught a couple of times in the first half, and I agree with you. It was frustrating because it was a massive kind of strength that we had that they just. I'm not saying that they should have taken advantage of, but they certainly could have put themselves in a better position and don't give away those niggly fouls. Just if in truth, the fouls were hard to see. I mean, the commentary was just it was pretty much kind of blasé, but it was like, oh, there's another free kick to Barcelona in the 6-yard box, and that's kind of what it felt like. It was like just take a step back and think about what you're doing here. You've got a huge advantage over most of the players there. You're talking about one decent sort of cross coming in, and I agree with you. I reckon it was a lost opportunity, a big lost opportunity. So I mean, they'll certainly look at that. I don't know what Ajax in terms of their sort of standing and how tall and physical they are, but it'll be interesting to see what they do a similar sort of thing and put it's like a tall team out rather than a kind of smaller, more skillful kind of teams. I don't think the Dutch are going to be pushed around quite so easily, and I think they'll be a bit more prepared for the I guess the cross ball and the high balls in. But in truth, I reckon some of it, even when they did get a chance, I think there was a lot of it was probably a little bit predictable as well. It was get the ball out wide and hump it into the box. Yeah. And I think just sometimes you just have to be a bit more clever than that. But there was a couple of players. I was going to say off a little bit out of touch, but they weren't really. I mean, when I thought about it afterwards, you think of guys like Commons, who was a little bit anonymous in the game, and even Samaras to a certain extent as well. But you think the pressure that they put on is immense. You have to give them credit for it. The pressure was absolutely immense. There's an old term. There's a term in Aussie rules about when a team's dominating, and they call it hunting in packs. You actually see two, three, four players, are tackling, a single player, and that's kind of what it reminded me of. That they just, whenever like Samaras got the ball, at one stage there were four players round about him. You know what I mean? So it was, and I think you got to give them massive credit for that, because I mean they don't play an overly physical, not physical but taxing sort of game, because obviously lots of kind of short passes and stuff.
Yeah.
But so, which again, I forget what I was either reading it or listening to some, I can't remember now, but it was along the lines of, they do this in a way to, I guess, conserve energy, and so they're not sort of drained during the game. They get enough of a break and whatever, and let the other team do the chasing. So, and then when the time comes that they, when they need to defend, they have that energy to do that. They're not sort of tired and whatever. You know what I mean? So, but it's a good tactic from their point. It's a major strength of theirs, obviously, but they carried it out pretty well, I reckon. It was
and it's something that Barca have done for long and weary. It doesn't matter who their coach or who their manager is. That's just the way Barca play their football. They do hunting packs and they defend from the front, and when the oppositions get the ball, you're spot on, Pat. They've always got at least three players round about them, but it's not as if it seems to show. Because again, when you think about it, when there's three players surrounding one of yours, that means there's got to be space elsewhere on the park. But when you see the way Barca play, it just is. It's incredible, because they always seem to be able to close you down, and that's the way that they win the ball back most of the time. It's not through crunching tackles; it's through making the opposition make mistakes and be rushed into passing the ball, and again they give the ball back. Now Somerset Tim has been trying to join us. Gary boy, he was on for a little while and he dropped out. I don't know, is that because you thought myself and Pat were blanking you, Gary? But certainly not, mate. We'll definitely try to get you on, but you're coming in and out and dropping in and out of the call.
Yeah, he's gone offline again. So now he's back online again. So he'll try and call in, no doubt.
So Gary, if please try to join us, mate, and let's know your thoughts. And again, anybody else that's listening in that's got access to Skype, feel free to call in and give us your own views, guys. There have been again some tweets. They're still coming in just now, but we had some earlier tweets as well, and we'll get on to the whole. We've done well to actually not mention it up until now, Pat. We'll get on to the whole Neymar and Scotty Brown thing shortly, but before I forget about this. Earlier on, Craig had sent us a tweet, and he made quite a good point. And I know if we're going chronologically here, this is maybe not the time to do it because it was late on in the game. But I'll come on to the more controversial stuff later. But Iniesta, Andres Iniesta, he's a superb footballer, as we all know. He's always skirting around the European Footballer of the Years or even World Footballers of the Years awards, but unfortunately for him, he's playing in a time that you've got Lionel Messi there, Cristiano Ronaldo, and these kind of guys. But when Andres Iniesta gets substituted with just a few minutes to go the other night, there was a standing ovation from the Celtic fans as he went off. And as you saw him coming off the park, he clapped the fans, not just the Barcelona fans, but he was certainly clapping the Celtic fans as well. Now, Craig had wrote a little article on his blog, which we'll give a mention to, the old CeltsAreHere.com. But Craig's point he was making in his article was that there was quite a few Celtic fans not too happy that the majority of Celtic fans in the stadium that night, at that point we were getting beat 1-0. There was only a few minutes to go. The majority of Celtic fans in that stadium basically applauded Iniesta off the park. But there were quite a few Celtic fans not too happy with that in the stadium, but also a few internet bampots coming out and shouting the odds online and on Twitter and on Facebook and whatever else that you want to say. But I'd like to get your own views on that part as to Andres Iniesta as a player and this whole thing about Celtic fans just appreciating a really good footballer. Is there anything wrong with that at all?
I personally don't have a problem with it. I think he has shown a certain element of respect for our club, so I don't have a problem with the fans acknowledging that. So I get the whole thing about, well, pretty much technically for that 90 minutes he's the enemy, because he's obviously contesting against our club, but at the same time, I don't kind of hide it. I think he's kind of been very open to the fact that the pictures last year of him and Messi, and there was another player in the Celtic the trophy room and that sort of stuff, with Celtic jersey and that sort of thing as well. So yeah, I think it was Xavi, was it? I'm sure there was 3 of them. So I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I mean,
it was Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta.
Yeah,
photographed at the 125 anniversary thing. Yeah,
I personally don't have a problem with it. I mean, let's face it, Celtic fans, they know a good player when they see one, and he's a class player. He's been one of the best I've seen in my lifetime. Great player, in fact.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't have an issue with it, but I can, in truth, I can understand why people say, sit down, shut up. He's not a Celtic player. It's leaving the park. It's somebody else. So I get that. Would you have done it if you were there? Would I have done it? If I was there, would I have a problem? Maybe I would have. Yeah, I wouldn't. It's hard to say. I mean, when the emotions are running high in the game, and especially because at the game, let's face it, you could tell most of the vast majority of fans were feeling pretty hard done by with the whole Neymar thing, which again we'll talk about later. But at the same time, that you got Iniesta wasn't involved in it. I mean, it wasn't his call, and if the referee made a bad decision, it's not his fault. And when great players like that come to Parkhead, and I kind of laughed a little bit about when you saw Messi was out injured as well. And I was kind of the same as Lennon. There's a little bit, a tiny little bit of me a bit disappointed as well, because you kind of want to see, these guys playing against your team. You know what I mean? So. But I mean, ultimately, when you sort of sit down and think about it, it's like, well, wait a minute, this is like the best player in the world. If we're ever going to win this game, we have a chance. You'd be better he's out. But there was that sort of little, first instinct of, that's a shame, because you want to see him, you want to see the best players at Parkhead. That's why you go to these kind of Champions League games, just to try and get these and sort of experiences and see these sort of guys. So.
I mean, the whole Iniesta thing. Again, one of the reasons that I wanted to bring this up tonight was because, first of all, I thought it was a good point that Craig had made when he tweeted us earlier on. But I just think a guy like Andres Iniesta, first of all, he's a first class and a world class footballer, but he's also one of your kind of consummate professionals. If you look at him and you look at Neymar, for example, you can't, there's 2 totally different types of players there. There's no doubt Neymar's a good footballer, but he's also a wee bastard as well. Now, there is no way in the world he'd get applauded off the park, and there's quite a few Barcelona players there as well in that team that they could have get subbed, and there wouldn't have been a blink. Guys like Iniesta, though, who, as you mentioned it earlier on, Pat, and I think that's probably what a lot of Celtic fans on the night did remember. This is a guy that's come out, and he's got a real respect for Celtic, a real respect for our club, what we stand for, what we're all about. Yes, he get photographed with the whole 125-year anniversary thing with him and Xavi and Messi. Whether that was staged or not, the guy does speak out, and he always speaks positively about Celtic. He talks about the fans. He talks about how great a stadium it is to play his football in. So, for me, that's just our fans giving back to him that respect that he shows us. When he gets subbed the other night, yes, he's a classy player. I think that's part of the reason that they applauded him off the park. But for me, the real reason they applauded him off the park is just because he's the consummate professional, and he's got the utmost respect for our club and our fans. So the thing that disappointed me, and I must admit, I haven't had the opportunity to to look at some of the negative comments that have been around about the ones shouting down other fans for applauding them or slagging people off online. I haven't seen them, but I pity the people that are doing it because they maybe don't fully understand the whole scenario or some of the comments that Iniesta said himself in the past about us as Celtic fans. And I must admit, I felt really proud when our fans were applauding him off the park, because he's a top class player, just a top class guy, and he's certainly no Neymar, that's for sure. So yeah, I'm sorry for the ones that felt they had to make their point and boo the majority of our fans that were applauding the guy off the park. But it's a fickle old game, and people are, of course, entitled to their own opinions. He's not a Celtic player, but I just think for somebody like that, it's just respectful. It wasn't going to change the bloody game, whether you applauded him off or not. But anyway,
well, look, Kralski's tweeted in as well, and what he said was, with the respect Iniesta has shown the Celtic fans, it's a wee bit of respect back, which he's shown the respect for. So, and there's another.
Absolutely.
Yep, and I agree with that. It's just, look, it's up to you. Pay your money as much as anyone else. If you want to show a bit of thanks a guy for not so much thanks. That's like, again, it's the whole respect thing for a great player. Then that's up to you. I mean, you pay your money the same as the guy sitting next to you. So it's up to you if you want to do it or not. But and again, same as if you don't want to do it, you just sit down and either keep your mouth shut or if you noise other people up just because you don't necessarily agree with it. So I should point out, Gary keeps dropping out again, so he's tried again. He's tried. See, the next time he comes in, can you just ask him a question? Something?
Straight away, I'll just need to say, I know I saw you coming in again, Gary, and then I thought we'll finish this off and then we'll come over to you, but you've dropped out again, mate. I hope it's not a deliberate dropout and you think we're ignoring you, because we will come to you straight away. But
Kralski's just tweeted in as well. Imagine a player from Barcelona being linked with Celtic. Well, come on, Kralski. Seriously.
Mark Rosas.
Oh, legend, yeah. So Iniesta would give us. He says Iniesta would give us glowing reports. The man is a football legend, so
he is. But maybe there's also an element of when Iniesta's knocking on the door of 32, 33, and he's winding down his Barca career. He's maybe coming to the end of his days there. He gets a wee free contract and he comes and plays 2 years at Celtic and just runs the midfield for us.
It'd be nice. All right, sold. All right.
Good.
So let me just go on the phone to Neil. Yes, but it's against totally up to other people. In truth, by that stage I was getting ready for work. So I didn't actually see him come off. But
for Christ's sake!
Oh well, I was getting.
Can you not get ready for work while we are watching the game?
I had to get the train pretty much as soon as the game finished. I was out the door. So
yeah.
Actually, I'll tell you what I did catch online, and I don't know if I've got the name right. Is it Graham Hunter? I think some guy from.
Yeah, he does the Spanish football coverage. Scottish guy, but he does Spanish football.
Yeah, I heard some people sort of, kind of complimenting him and saying he was really good. That guy just annoys the fuck out of me. I'm sorry, it was very kind of smarmy, and I watched something he did, like one of these Google Hangout things with STV, and he was on that one, and I thought he was really kind of patronising, and it was like, Celtic are just going to get smashed here. This is Barcelona, who you think you're talking about? And yeah, a bit of a cheesy grin in his face after the game, stuff like that. It was just, it was bugging me, I'll be honest with you. So I caught that online after I watched the game because on SBS, they kind of what they do is they do a little summary of the game, then they move on to the other games. I want to still hear about the Celtic game, so I kind of flicked on, got something online, and managed to get a bit of a dodgy.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were kind of on the side of the park. I don't know the name of the presenters. I don't see any STV over here, obviously, but he was, he kind of stood out for me a little bit. He was just bugging me, so. So whoever you are, Graham Hunter, you're a wanker.
Oh, we're going to have to put the expletive thing on this.
You said bastard earlier on, so don't give me your nonsense, right?
But that's all right.
Oh, it's all right for you. Okay, that's fair enough. Jesus, unbelievable.
Oh, but that word you used there was a bit more strong than bastard.
What?
Anyway, never mind.
I said
Krowski's
spanker.
tweeted-
I was talking about Spanker's knob. He's a spanker. He goes, a
Yes.
Spanker's knob.
Krowski's tweeted in again to say, Crossas, question mark. LOL, just as he never worked out well, doesn't mean to say another will be the same. Now, Krowski, I'll have to take issue with you in this, because I must admit, I thought Mark Crossas was a very good foosballer, calcio player. He just never really got a very good chance at Celtic. And he's become a legend online anyway, since he's been away to Mexico. But no, I think Mark Crossas was a good wee player. He was brought up in the Barca way, so it's unfortunate he just played in a team that didn't play the Barca way. But no, I think if you could get a smattering of Barca B players over on loan or something like that. I think I've mentioned this earlier before as well in these podcasts. It's something that would get down a treat, I think. But anyway, now, just believe it or not, just as I'm finishing off talking, it's not Gary Boy Somerset Tim, it's bloody Martin Kelly has now found it within himself to bother his arse to join us this evening. How are you, Martin?
Welcome, mate. Thank you very much for that wonderful intro. I'm actually good, mate. I am in for my work, so I've heard nothing of the show so far. But yeah, I'm fine, mate. What about yourself?
Well, all we've been talking, we haven't actually started talking about the Celtic at all. We've just been talking about you.
Okay, so what? Obviously,
but it's all been
wonderful.
good. Yes, it's all been very complimentary.
Yeah, my knowledge of football, unbelievable. You know.
Correct. No, so now you say you're just in from work. Are you in from work on a works night out?
No, in from work, but I had to have my dinner, obviously, because I was starving and I would have faded away. So, but no, actually, tonight was work. There's a lot on at the moment, but yes, it's all good now, mate. So, what have you been talking about?
Well, before I even mention that, I just want to find out, because I asked Pat earlier on what he had for the old din-dins tonight, and it was fish and chips for Pat, fish on a Friday. I had fish fingers and chips. Fish on a Friday, but it was Jamie Oliver's fish fingers, and they were bloody terrible. They were rotten. Now, Martin, what did you have for dinner tonight? Was it fish on a Friday for you, mate?
No, sausage casserole. To be honest,
that is disgraceful.
Christ's sake!
You'll go to hell, boy. You'll go to hell. That's disgraceful.
Hey, boys! We are an inclusive club. We accept anybody. We don't need to eat fish on a Friday.
What's he blabbering on about?
This
has got nothing to do with.
It's still a nice touch, Martin.
This has got nothing to do with Celtic. You shut up, boy. Right? You should be. That's disgraceful.
Not only was it not
kids,
fish, it was bloody sausage.
But look, the sausages are virtually vegetarian anyway.
But
right.
Vegetarian sausage.
Sorry, mate.
Vegetarian sausage.
No, they were normal sausages, but there's so little meat in them, they're virtually vegetarian.
Right, I'm with you.
Martin,
Right, Martin, anyway, enough
about
your sausage.
Oh, listen, like a pig's arsehole is still meat, so I mean, technically you're still eating meat. So.
Crying out loud.
What?
Right, Martin, listen. Right, enough about your sausage and Pat's pig's arsehole. We're coming on to something that you'll be able to contribute to here now, because we've skirted round this subject for long and weary, but we're going to come on to it now. The game the other night. Did you see the game the other night?
Aye.
Good.
Of course I saw the game the other night.
Oh, of course.
You say that as if you see all our games. But anyway, Martin, that's a good bonus, mate. Now, the big issue that we're going to talk about now, that we have skirted round, is the whole, and it's the title of the show tonight, the Brown off thing. Scotty Brown and Neymar. I'm going to come to you straight away. And you obviously saw the incident.
I did.
You've obviously seen a hell of a lot of commentary and comments on the internet, on the interweb, and all these things from internet bandpots. What's Martin Kelly's view of how that incident played out?
All right. I think the general tackle was to stop him going through. It wasn't a sending off. The way I seen it was Brown was running past, so I'll give him a wee dig and just make sure he knows I'm here type thing. To me, it was a sending off. You can't kick somebody full stop when they're on the ground. It was a sending off, and we need to take our medicine. The other thing I would say is, and it reminded me, and I can't quite remember, who was it, Alan Thompson at Ibrox, when he squared up to and the guy hit the ground like a sack of spuds?
Lovely pants.
Yeah, Peter
Lovely
Loving.
pants.
Yeah,
Right.
Loving. Yeah.
Right?
Same
What I
kind
actually
of-
think, if you're being sent off or something like that, you rattle them because if you're going to get sent off for giving somebody a wee kick, you may as well give them a big kick. So to me, Brown was stupid. Look, I think I can see what he was trying to do, which is I'm just giving you a wee niggle thing. And it was one of those, I think we all saw it, and from the first angle you're going, there's nothing in that, maybe a yellow card, not a sending off. Suddenly you've seen it from the other one, and the ref, I don't think had any option. He kicked him. He kicked the guy when he's down.
Yep.
I think it's a sending off.
Right, Martin, now I'm going to Pat before I come at you. Gary boy, Somerset Tim, quickly.
Say something. Just say something, Gary. Say something.
Are you there, Gary? He is there, but we can't hear you. Poor Gary's struggling tonight.
Oh, he's trying his best, poor boy.
He is trying. But he's still
call dropped. There you go.
Dropped out again. Right, Pat. Martin's given his point on, or his views on the Scotty Brown thing. What was your own point or views?
My first, when I saw obviously from the normal just angle at the side, my first thought was, seriously, referee, you can't be serious given sending someone off for that. And my brain was trying to track back, of what position was Brown in? Was Brown the last man? I'm sure that I saw other players kind of to goal side of him, if you know what I mean. So it couldn't be that. And then as soon as you see the replay, just absolutely stupid. They showed a really good kind of slow-mo replay on, and I presume it was on British TV as well, but they showed a real kind of slow one of it sort of after the game. And you can actually see, and this is, if you watch it yourself, you can actually see him change direction. He actually moves, because it kind of cuts across him, if you know what I mean, and he falls down and stuff like that. But you actually see him changing direction and running towards him to kick him. I don't get this whole thing of people saying, oh, it was the Barcelona players that were flagging, it got him sent off and stuff like that. I don't really go for that, in honesty. I reckon there was enough, you could see where the referee was in the picture, and if he can see, he's even closer than what the camera is, and it was clear as day that he did a kick at him, and you just literally, you can't do that. You just cannot do it. It was a brain fade. The stuff I wanted to talk about after we talk about the Scott Brown thing, about the whole reaction to it, which is a different matter. But at the time, my instant reaction was, "You complete dick." That was the first thing I said.
Yep.
You complete dickhead.
No, fair enough.
And he played well. He was one of the better players up to that point, and it was really, really, really disappointing. And I think, and that's why we did the little thing at the start where the intro was the "I'm Sorry," Brenda Lee, if anyone's interested in it, which is a lovely old song. But I'm a bit disappointed with the stuff Lennon's come out with, because Scott Brown himself has come out and said it was my fault and I did something stupid. But Lennon has just got this, I don't know, I get the whole thing about backing your players and all that sort of stuff, but when the player comes out and pretty much admits that he did the wrong thing, then I think you just have to, as Martin said, take your medicine and just accept it. It's just, but anyway, I'm not going to go any longer because Gary's back on. Right, Gary, can you say something?
Finally back on. Finally
on.
Got to be a bit explicit. It's going to be an explicit show. The iPad was being a dick, so I had to resort to using the iPhone. So finally
you're
on.
Coming through. You're coming through loud and clear, though, Gary. You're coming through loud and clear now. Good man.
Good. Yeah.
So no, Gary, what's your thoughts on the whole Scott Brown Neymar incident?
Well, at that time, I suppose anybody who was at the game had seen the incident would have been, enraged by that decision. It would have been a straight red. Although I did initially thought that it should have been no more than a yellow card. But then you start to look at the replay and you think, well, this referee must have hawk eyes and seen something. And he knew he made a mistake. And even if your player there made the most of it, of being kicked was a very light kick, under the arms, but it was still wrong on Scott Brown's part, and I don't think I wouldn't think it made a difference that it changed the game. But if he'd still been on the pitch, would the scoreline been different? I don't know.
We'll never know, will we?
Mm.
I think. See what you're saying there, though, Gary, about whether it's a light kick or whatever. I mean, I must admit, from what I've heard from the three of you there, I'm going with Martin's description more than anybody, because to me it was an absolutely idiotic thing to do. Now, when I must admit, see, when I saw it live, I think you've all said when you saw it in the replay, you maybe saw it different. See, when I saw it just happening live, the camera was focused on Brown, and I totally agree with Martin. The foul and the whole yellow card, or potentially, it was nothing to do with the initial contact, right? That was by the by. As soon as he went down, I saw him flicking his foot out, and that's all it takes. Whether it's a flick kick, or the intention was there. The guy, Scott Brown, put his foot somewhere that it didn't have to go. He had to make an effort to shove his foot in a direction that was not the natural path where he was running. Now, to me, that was just straight away. There was no surprise for me that it was a red card. I heard back on the audio stuff that you did as well, Pat, and I think it was Ian Crocker and stuff, and they seemed to be surprised they got a red card for it. See, as soon as I saw it happening, I thought, Christ, he's off the park here. A stupid little flick. Now, the only thing that, when I saw it on the replays later on, he didn't make a huge amount of contact. Then I thought, all right, now that you can study that, it was maybe a bit harsh. But the fact of the matter was, it was Scott Brown back to his old Hibernian days when he was an absolute hothead, and probably his early Celtic days. A hot-headed player. He always wanted to be in people's faces. He always wanted to give that little nudge and make sure you know you're in a game. He get completely and utterly caught out, and it was a ridiculous thing that he did. And see all the Celtic, and I put some stuff on Twitter and Facebook after the game. See any Celtic fan that was blaming Neymar for that, fair enough, right? The wee guy's a cheat, and the wee guy's makes the most of things, but to try and cover up what Scott Brown did by just turning it all on Neymar, I thought was laughable and ridiculous. It was crazy, and people should take the old green tinted specs off and just say, you know what, Scott Brown, you made an arse of yourself there. And the point you did make earlier on, Gary, about, would the result have been the same had he stayed on the park? Unfortunately, we'll never know, because unfortunately he gets sent off, and he could have cost us certainly 2 points in that game. We'll never know. It might have still finished 1-0 anyway, but couldn't believe it.
See when what you said, that you've made some points there that I was going to make as well about Scott Brown, the character that he is. That I'm trying to remember a time. Was there ever a time that he ever actually went to boot a guy? Like kick a guy or something. I know he is one to provoke people. I know that.
Yeah.
But was there a time? Because I think for him, then it was one of those. Now, I can make a comparative approach to this. That he might have been one of those moments where he thought, if I do this, nobody will see me. But that's a crazy thing to think, with so many cameras. I mean, that was the attitude that John Yogi Bear Hughes had when playing Argentina, when there were not many cameras then. But he should know that not only that with so many cameras on him and doing this and making the most of every last moment, replay of that incident, but Neymar will make the most of it and make it look as if he really booted him, under the arm.
Gary,
and he should know that.
You're asking, has he done this thing before? Now, I remember last year when we did the whole sort of Homeboys Down Under shows. And I remember this because it was a comment I made, and David Harper was on. That's when David Harper used to host the shows. And essentially, I forget, in truth, I cannot remember which game it was, but he did the same sort of thing in a European match, and he had a kick at someone. He got booked for it, and it was a nothing game. It was out in the middle of, it was on the halfway line. There was no breakthrough, but he kicked out a player and he got a booking for it. And
Right.
I remember making the point on this podcast and saying it was, it must have been a victory. It must have been a game we won at Parkhead. And I said, well, my only disappointment was Scott Brown getting booked for this thing. And the reason I remember it is David Harper's going, nah, that's just nonsense, because that's just letting the player know that you're around and stuff like that. And he got booking for it, but it was a worthy booking. And my opinion was, no, it wasn't. Because what's the point in getting booked for an innocuous a tackle in the middle of the park in a game that in a competition that you know that persistent bookings are going to get you a suspension. Now, I actually had a call on the morning of the game, so I was on my way to work, and I got a call from a guy that most of us would know as Tony Cassidy. So he called me on Skype, and we were having a nice wee chat as I was walking up Collins Street going to work, and he said he was at the Morton game last week, and he said he did the exact same thing to a guy in the Morton game. He said, and he goes, the reason he knows it because he said he was only like sort of 50 yards away from it, and he saw it with his own eyes, that some guy fell or something like that to get tackled, and Scott Brown went over, and I think he said he stood on his hand. I'm not sure he got booked in that or whether the referee just let him away with it, but he did the same thing. But that, as I said earlier, like when you watch the replay, he deviates his run to actually go and kick the guy.
Yeah.
If it's some sort of innocuous, you bump into a guy as they fall over, that's fair enough. But he deviated and actually made sure he made contact with the guy. Now that might have been an approach from the coaches. You never know. That might have been Lennon and Mialby in his ear saying, right, whenever he gets the ball, if you can hit him hard, let him know you're there.
But there's a difference, Pat, between doing that fairly and, you know what I mean, and what he did, which was just ridiculous.
Absolutely, and I get that, and that's kind of my point, is that he's went out of his way, and he's made it. He hasn't made it very subtle. There's kind of subtle ways of letting guys know that you're there, and there's fairly obvious.
You can make your presence felt by shouldering somebody if you're going for the ball. If 50 for a challenge, you can shoulder somebody. That's that's I don't think there's anything in the rules says you can't do that. But it's another to. But that's easier said than done, isn't it? I suppose you have to be a footballer to know what it is, what you do, what you're not to do. They say, I mean, as year after year, the football's becoming more and more a non-contact sport. That every last touch, the lights of incidents will be treated as a big, a serious injury, a big incident. It is a contact sport though along the way, and it is physical. Well, a time where it used to be really physical with intent. It's it is a physical game. It can't go away from that. And even those little moments, just like what Scott Brown did, it's going to happen. It's not like it's going to end there. That there'll be players, no matter how much technology there is to film these incidences, they'll still do it. There'll always be someone when they have a kick and a.
Gary, when you're saying about the physical aspect of the game, I would agree, and I think that there's football. It is a physical sport. That you can have a fair challenge that's a strong physical challenge. But what Scott Brown did the other night was, it actually wasn't even that physical. I mean, it was so innocuous, but the thing was, the intent was there to cause some kind of harm, or, as Pat said earlier on, he deviated his run to try and make contact with the guy, and not so much in a fair, aggressive kind of manner. It was an unfair, aggressive manner he was doing it. It didn't result in much at all, as we saw in the replays, but the intent was there. The guy, he did not have to do it. Something clicked in his mind, say, yep, whether it's his interpretation of this is what they mean by, make him know you're there. It was stupidity. Let's face it. It was stupidity. It was, as I said earlier on, it reminded me of Scott Brown when he played with Hibs. It reminded me of the early Scott Brown when he was with us as well. But I honestly thought he'd kind of matured a little bit. I still do think he has. He's matured an awful lot as a player, and he's not as daft as he used to be in terms of the way he conducts himself on the park. But he just went back. He regressed a bit the other night by doing that, and he's got himself suspended for the next game. Now, that might be a blessing in disguise, guys. Who knows? But Martin, you were coming in there with something.
I was just going to say, see if it was actually part of a tackle or something, or part of, then you can argue, and we've all seen the ones where there's hardly a touch and somebody, rolls around the ground and we all shout for it. But the boy was on the ground. I totally agree with Pat. I actually think he changed his pace, ran towards him and kicked him. To me, if it was the opposite way around, we'd be screaming for it. And how often did we see... Yeah. I remember a game against a previous Glasgow club where they lined up Petrov and like 3 or 4 of the players, just as soon as Petrov got the ball, would just one after the other come in and nail him.
Was that Partick Thistle, Martin? Partick Thistle?
No, I said it was an old Glasgow club, a club that used to exist.
But, Third Lanark.
I think it was Third Lanark, guy. No, but we've all screamed for that in the past, and look, I actually think a lot of time refs get too much abuse, because I've sat and watched a game, screamed for a penalty, you've seen the other replay and you go, all right, actually the ref is right, and nobody makes a big deal about that. And there's been some howlers over the years as well. But I just think Brown left the ref with no choice. I don't care about the Barcelona say book him or whatever. There's a boy on the floor, Brown runs up and kicks him. There's not a lot of having to go to the rule book and check section 24 on it. There's a boy on the ground, you've kicked him, you're gone. And I think also it is this, if, you can argue, as I said, if it was part of the game, if it was actually part of the, running through, but also for Brown to do it then, and even just pick up the other card, he's putting himself in a really bad situation. It wasn't that far in the game, and again, he's going to miss out in other games because of it. I just think, and look, when Brown first was bought, I wasn't his biggest fan. I'm a massive Brown fan now, but the other night, and it's just, what are you doing? Seriously. And as I said, and it does sound ridiculous, but if you're going to get sent off, you can make it count. Seriously, like, that's it. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's not just a Celtic player, he is a Celtic captain, and he has to remember that as well. He has, and it doesn't look good.
Absolutely.
That your captain would do that.
I think the conclusion is, I think there's a fairly conclusive that we all kind of think he was rightfully sent off, and you can understand the fans at the game as well. They're a bit sort of naffed off because they think he's sent off just for the sort of pulling him back and whatever. But I guess the thing I was kind of interested in was the whole reaction or overreaction to it. And I think I sent Kev and Martin, I don't know why I did this, and I'm a fool for doing it, but for some reason I looked at one of these not phone-in things, but these kind of hotline things on the Daily Record.
For crying
I know.
out loud.
But this is a sort of thing.
I thought that's why you emigrated out here, mate, so you could get away from that rag.
Well, yeah.
No, it's unbiased. It's all right.
You've got you got to take in from different perspectives, Kevin, and do the research. No, a bit of research and a bit of forward planning for a podcast. You wouldn't know about that, but that's the sort of thing you have to do for a podcast. But this is some of the comments, So Colin McKenzie and Saltcoats, Brown's a disgrace to Celtic, and I can't believe our manager Neil Lennon tried to condone his actions. Why didn't he put his hands up and admit Brown put us under more pressure? Right, Colin McKenzie sharp, right? So Lindsay Sim from Bexley Heath, Brown should be stripped of the captaincy with immediate effect. Lindsay Sim, go shove it. Tam McKinney, Brown's a disgrace. Would Paul McStay have done anything like that? No, he wouldn't, but who cares? He's apologised, right? Move on. Charles Gardner from Lockheed. I almost threw something at the telly. Well, you're a fucking idiot for throwing things at your telly then, aren't you? The list goes on.
It's just this paper is very selective in who they take in as callers, in that particular hotline column. Just to sell that paper. They just can't balance it out and pick each caller as they come in. No, they just pick them carefully. Pick out the most irritated ones.
Look, the truth, the whole Neil Lennon thing has kind of bugged me. As I said earlier, that Scott Brown's come out and admitted it, and he said, "Look, it was my fault. I'm really sorry." And seeing truth, that for me is the end of it. Right? You've done it. Right? Forget about this whole thing about finding him 2 weeks' wages and stripping him of the captaincy and all that sort of stuff. Right? The guy's made a mistake. So let's flipping. What he needs at the moment is our support, and not people sort of bagging him and and criticising. Right, it's over and done with. Move on. But all this sort of stuff, and I'm a fool for reading it. I don't know why I did. I guess you sort of look for these things after the game. Try and get a bit of, I guess, self-reflection. Is anyone else feeling the same way as me? But just reading through some of these things, it's
you don't read the bloody record for that part to get any level-headed commentary on it and make yourself feel reasonable at all. Because that's just nonsense, that rag anyway.
I picked up what you said earlier about the applaud of the fans towards Iniesta, and whether that's and how some people reacted to it. It's just, again, it's one of those things. Everyone's got a platform these days for an opinion, and they've got it online, and they're just everywhere. And they're not. You can either go with taking what they're saying, or just treat it as, well, come on, why not? This is football. Why can't we applaud a fantastic player who speaks highly of us, as well? I mean, if he was a bad boy, then it'd be different, be understandable. But yeah.
But would you say Brown has been possibly our best player this season, or one of the best?
No.
Has there been any real standouts?
No. I think Com's been a standout this season so far.
The reason I asked, there was one comment in it, and it was a kind of a bit of a mixed comment in the Daily Record thing. And it was Andrew Steele from Denison. He goes, "People will blame Brown, but it's hard to criticise someone who's been our best player this season by far."
But then I wouldn't agree with that.
I don't necessarily agree. I mean, I think Van Dijk, some of that has been probably our best player so far this season.
I've been very impressed with Van Dijk. Craig's actually tweeted in to say, I think we should have Pat ridicule people's daft comments every podcast.
Well, I'm happy to criticise people's comments. If people can send them to me, I don't want to read the Daily Record. I do not want to go
Maybe we need to make this part of your research part before every podcast. You need to be right all over that Daily Record hotline thing to pick out your favourite comments from Billy King from Lark Hall and all these guys that they usually have on there. I remember all that. They used to do all that.
Philip Jackson from Northern Ireland's another one.
Oh, aye. Unbelievable.
Did you see, there is actually a guy who plays for Hearts called Billy King?
Yeah, that's right.
What, seriously, what were they thinking? Really? I
had a guy in class called Billy King. There's nothing new there, years ago.
Jesus Christ, that's serious. All right, anyway, moving on. But yeah, so I just wanted to sort of mention that sort of reaction, and I think there was a lot of that on Twitter. I was pretty pissed off with him right after the game. But see, and with Brown, when he's really disappointed in what he'd done, but see in the end of it, see when a guy comes out and says, look, puts a hand up and goes, look, I fucked up, basically.
Yeah.
Then that's it.
Move on. You said that earlier on. Move on, and we should move on. Not just for the show, but Scott Brown in general. We should all move on from it, because at the end of the day, he is still the Celtic captain. I'm not shouting for him to be stripped of the captaincy because of that one silly incident. He's came out. He said himself he was at fault. He holds his hand up. He's going to be suspended for a Champions League game, but Scott Brown, in my view, is still a very good player, and he's still a key midfielder for us in that team.
Yep. See, that was the most disappointing thing for me, is that the next three games, and I think everyone attests to this, is that the next three games are the most important for us. Now, I looked at it, you think of three of the hardest games we're going to play in this sort of league section, right? Barcelona away, Barcelona at home, and Milan away. That's the three hardest games. Now, we've already played two of them.
Mm-hmm.
We've played two out of, 6 games, and we've played the two of the three hardest games. So the next sort of 3 games, the Ajax games, and then obviously Milan at home, are the most important ones. And the sad thing for me is that he's going to miss one of those games when we need him. That was the most disappointing thing for me.
Yep.
Anyway, so I've just added who said he was on his way out the door as well. So anyway, he's here.
He couldn't resist. How are you, Krause?
Couldn't resist, man. You're just winding me up, Suzer, with a Scott Brown talk.
Oh,
Let's hear it.
Let's hear it indeed. Come on, Kralski.
Kev, should I move the disconnect mouse sort of button over Kralski's name here just in case?
Just hover it just in case. Wait a minute, Kralski, is one of your pseudonyms Billy King from Larkhall, Daily Record contributor?
I think it was Mark that said like Mark. I knew a William King myself from my days in Glasgow. No, I would touch that rag. Honestly, I wouldn't even wipe my back end with that rag.
Quite right, mate. Right, come on. What's your? We've obviously riled you with some of the stuff that's been said there. Come on, Kralski.
Oh, man, what he's all about, man. Reading out a Daily Record.
Oh, we know that. Right, that's part. Pat's already explained that. That's his research purposes.
Not having fish on a Friday.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. What are you going to have? What are you going to have for din-dins tonight, Kralski?
I don't like fish, so
Pasta then. What a pasta?
I think I'm going to have stew and dough balls tonight. Aye.
What kind of stew? No, vegetable stew. Vegetable stew, not sausage or meat.
I'll tell you what, when I come off this, I'll tweet you a wee picture of it, mate. It looks divine. It looks the business, mate. Aye.
Good.
Was it Martin that said that he didn't have the fish?
Aye, Martin had bloody sausage casserole for crying out loud.
Is Martin's in Japan, though, isn't he?
No, Martin's in sunny Melbourne.
Oh, right. Is it Liam that's in Japan?
Liam's the Japan man. He'd have been having a bit of sushi.
That's what I was going to say. No one is not having fish. We probably had fish 4 or 5 days at the week, you know what I mean? So, well, right, no worries. No, I think the Brown stuff is way over the top. You know what I mean? And I kind of said that Brown would come out and apologise for being daft. I kind of imagined that he would anyway. Some of the stuff that was coming out saying how he's cost us the game and he's cost us the points, that's over the top, you know what I mean? The boys made a mistake. We've all made a mistake. The one I said, people were replying back to me, oh, he's a Celtic captain, he shouldn't be making mistakes. Well, if you look at some of the best players in the world have made mistakes. Look at Zidane against Materazzi. Look at Zidane did to Materazzi. Yep. In the heat of the moment, you're always going to see top level players make mistakes. So we take his apology and we move on. You know what I mean? Some of the chastisement was just far over the top. You know what I mean? So that was I wanted to come on and make that point about. I know you are trying to move on from it, and I've got another point to move on from it if you don't mind.
Yeah, go for it, Kralski.
Big Effie Ambrose, another 4-year contract. Get in, Big Effie.
I like Big Effie. I think Effie's done well. I mean, when we first signed him, I thought the big man was great, and then he went away for the African Cup of Nations. He came back a changed man for the worse, unfortunately. But this season, I think the big man has been superb. I don't think
boys, can I just jump in? This is the most perfect bit of timing. See when Kralski mentioned Effie, there's something came through from Celtic Twitter. It says Effie has been fantastic. Always available to play, gives us an extra dimension, not afraid to bring the ball out of the back, from Neil Lennon. Is this Neil Lennon? Kralski, you Neil Lennon? Are you actually the conference, are you?
What do you think of my Scottish accent? My Scottish accent's quite good, isn't it?
Well, you've been in Scotland long enough, so. But yeah, that was absolutely perfect timing. Now, just as Kralski started talking about it, Neil Lennon agrees with Kralski. So
there you are.
Right.
Well, that's it. Top level. All I'm saying is when we discussed Effie Ambrose, I think it was at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I said I think he was getting too much stick. I said he was getting played at a position. I thought he was, because he was playing right back with Nigeria. Lennon said when he signed him that he signed him as a midfield player, yet he was getting played at centre back. His commitment, I don't think a lot of Celtic fans were really giving him credit for his commitment. He came back from that Cup of Nations. He could have took a holiday, I think a 2-week holiday, but he came straight back and obviously put his services up to play in that game against Drury. That was the manager's fault for playing him. You know what I mean? But Effie was there, obviously showing his commitment, and that's another thing I think the Celtic Twitter has put out, is the fact that he's always been committed to the cause. No, it wasn't. It was Effie that said that he wanted to sign a new 4-year deal to show that he was committed to Celtic. And for me, that's right up there with some of the stuff that Samaras comes out and says. You know what I mean? Samaras, in terms of the words and all that, the words he uses, that's right up there with what Samaras says. So I think he deserves it this season. I mean, Big Virgil been, I think, quite decent.
Oh, I would totally agree, Krause. I think Big Van Dijk has got the makings of a, dare I say, a Paul Elliott type centre half.
It's a big call.
It's a huge call because Paul Elliott's the best centre half I've ever seen playing with Celtic. But and I know my old man said it as well. My old man's 73, but or 72. But yeah, in terms of Effie this season, he has, and Big Virgil's been the same. They have kind of taken it. It gives another dimension to our team. Defenders that can actually play football and take the ball out from the back, because it basically creates an extra midfielder or two extra midfielders, depending on how you're doing it. And teams in the SPFL, La Liga, Campeonato, Bundesliga, Scottish Football, Calcio League, they're not used to that type of footballer coming out.
I reckon you're right. It's an extra dimension that they've given to the team, and I think we've been pretty much advocates of it. I certainly have, that when he wasn't playing well, people are kind of slagging him off, saying, "Oh, like there's no way we can sign this guy in long-term contract. He's crap." And my feeling then is just that he was a guy who was just a good player who was out of form. Like every player has a phase like that, you know. But I think sort of Virgil coming in is kind of helped him kind of stabilise a little bit as well. Like, you know, Virgil, to be fair, he's bailed him out a couple of times, you know, but it doesn't bother me so much the stuff that Ambrose does. He does try to give something a bit different coming out of defence. Now, fans will criticise and bag him whenever he gets caught with the ball, but what do they want? Do they want a defender who's just going to look up the park and punt the ball up there? Do they want that, or do they want somebody who's at least going to have to try it? You know, like, because if players, if you're just going to have the crowd in your back every single time, like when he gets the ball, oh my God, here he comes, this is a nightmare, then that impacts the player and how they're and what they're going to try and do. Whereas if you can actually see it from, he's actually trying to do something creative and do something come out of, then that's different. You know, you try and support that a little bit. If he gets caught, that's when the coach has to come in and say, look, you know, back off a little bit. You know, maybe we should do the simple ball and learn from it. But you know,
see this season, Pat, though, the only times he's been caught was the other night against Barca, and it's for the exact same reason that you mentioned earlier on. Barca, as a team, close any player down in the opposition that's got the ball. So the big man tried to do it on, in my memory, 2, maybe 3 times during the course of the game. Now, he actually did manage to play it comfortably out to an extent, but then he did get just kind of closed down and he ended up losing possession. But see, when he's done it in the SPFL, BL, CL, he's done really, really well with it. And he's actually set up a few decent moves and good moves. And I don't think he's actually, well, I can't recall a time that I've seen him bringing the ball out and he's actually lost possession.
See, for me, boys, I think the Celtic fans like a right good player to moan at.
Yeah,
we've got a player in there just now. We've got a player in there just now who is absolutely adored with the Celtic fans now. But see, a couple of years ago, he was, Samaras. Oh no, what are you doing, Samaras? Don't get Samaras, get in the box, Samaras. You know what I mean? Yep. So we had him. It then went to let's say Ambrose is getting it just now. Ambrose is doing quite decent. He's not getting maybe the same moans. He's still getting them, but he's not getting the same moans as what he was getting after the Juve game. And the player that's getting it now is Azagiri. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair shout.
Like to moan at a player, and you're right what you're saying in the fact that as soon as if there is uncertainty and the supporters, it then obviously breeds to the player. So the ball come up to where it'll be Samaras a couple of years ago, where it'll be Ambrose, and you go, and the crowd, and then you're also it's going to can impact the player.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think they're spot on there in terms of what you're saying. What you want a player just to hump the ball right up to the opposition defence for them to clear it back down. Or you're wanting somebody to get the ball and do something about use a bit of imagination.
Yep.
I would rather have the player with imagination rather than just a big lump of wood putting a ball up. Or it's a big Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk, I reckon he'll only be at Celtic another 2 years and then he'll go for big money. Big Van Dijk is going to be immense.
Do you know, mate, that was actually one of the points. Like, I had a couple of little quick fire questions I was going to ask the boys, and that was one of them. Do you think that Virgil van Dijk will be there in 2 seasons' time? Do you think he'll get to the end of his contract? And I think I'm with you. Like, in first impression, he is captain material. He is, like, I'm not saying he's world class in that, but he's captain material, and he could lead if you could literally build a team, a defence around him. Yeah. If you get the right guys around about him, he would do fantastically well, in my opinion. So
he'll be. I think he might be a black horse. He might be a kind of dark horse to get into the Dutch World Cup squad.
Well, if he keeps playing well in the Champions League, if he plays well in the Champions League, then yeah, he's on the world stage, on the European stage, but effectively the world stage there. So yeah, I don't know watch enough international football. Never mind Dutch football.
He's been on the periphery anyway, guys, of the national team, and he was also voted as one of the best the team of the year for the Eredivisie last year. I mean, the guy does use class, and I'm saying to myself right now that from what I've seen so far, okay, he had a bit of a dodgy game, but let's just say he was a little bit raw against Shakhtar when we played them away. But see, since then, the big man has done nothing but impress me. You can tell during the game, he tries to encourage the guys as well. He's quite vocal on the part. You can see that he's vocal, and you can see him shouting at guys. Now, to me, that's brilliant as well. That's your kind of Roy Aitken style coming through. You can actually see him encouraging guys and telling them to go up the park, and he gesticulates with the hands, and you can see him shouting at guys. So, as you said it yourself, he's captain material.
When was the last time you seen a centre back that was happy to hit a free kick, or it was picking up the ball outside the box and it was happy to stick one in goal? You know what I mean?
Well, remember that Dundee United game a few weeks back? After about 20 minutes, he could have had scored 2 goals by that time for doing exactly the same thing we were talking about earlier on. Kralski taking the ball out from defence, having the confidence to actually take it forward, and he saw the gap open up and he opened a shot up, and he was very unlucky actually. He wasn't too far off. It's only a matter of time before he scores a few for us, I think.
He's also turned out to be your main target man whenever we're struggling. Forget having Baldy on the bench. Just stick Van Dijk up front against Morton.
Well,
literally,
I was promoting him to score an anything goal against Barca, because I thought that Van Dijk would be this game's Wanyama. Set a piece from Mulgrew. Van Dijk would be used to his height. So that was, I think he was getting quoted at, I think one book he was giving him 40 to 1 any time and 90 to 1 for goal scorer. Obviously it's money saved now, you know what I mean? But I think at the time it sounded quite good. Listen, boys, I'll let you go on. Sorry for hijacking the show, but I'll let you go on. I'll still be listening. Good.
Good on you, Kralski. Always good to hear from you, mate.
Hail, boys. Cheers.
Hail, mate. Hail. Guys, listen, Craig's tweeted in as well a few minutes ago there to say, and I'll move on to this. I know we've not even talked about Barca's goal or anything like that, or the fact that we actually lost the game. But Craig's tweeted in to say, another wee subject to touch on. Is anyone else getting a little bit restless that Ledley hasn't signed a new deal or a new contract yet? Gary, I'll come to you first on that. Joe Ledley has been absent for the last little while there. Now we've obviously signed Beaton in the middle of the park, the Israeli boy, but Ledley, he's not been around for a while. Does that give you any concerns that he's not actually signed a deal yet, or that he's not been around the team? I know he's maybe been in niggly wee injuries and things like that, but does that give you any cause for concern?
Well, my impression was that he is still facing a bit of injury, is why he's not in the team. But if somebody is saying that that's the case, you would be concerned, I suppose. But then he'd have to play at the top of his game if Celtic were going to if he was going to move on to another club. a bit of agency, like I'd have to sell him with a good figure. I wouldn't think he would, we see the last of him yet in the team. Not until, well, we'll see what happens in January, I suppose, if he hasn't signed anything.
I mean, see if we were to play a standard 4-4-2 formation. So if we've got 4 midfielders that we're talking about there, would Joe Ledley be a first pick in your midfield, Gary?
Probably yes. Yeah, because he would be over the midfielders I'd pick first. He is a steady player in midfield, and he has been for a long time. But for anyone else, but the pressure would be on now, though, when he comes back on, when he's facing competition with other players, particularly your Israeli player.
Yeah.
That he might have to. He has to work harder to get his place back.
Yep.
Yeah.
Boys, I was going to ask, did we sign him on a Bosman?
Ledley?
Yes, we did.
Aye.
Yeah.
Because is one of the issues is salary, his wages, because if we sign him on a Bosman, was he on big money, and then he's going to have to possibly take a dip in that or not get as big an increase, and maybe that's one of the issues.
I mean, I honestly think now that we have got Beaton in, and we've still to see this guy in action, but we've got quite a considerable amount of decent midfielders now. And I mean, Ledley, Kyle's been kind of similar as well. I know he came on the other night, but we've got quite a number of midfielders now, and there's only so many you can play. And it wouldn't surprise me if Ledley is seriously thinking about his future and what part he's got to play, because Ledley's not the type of player, in my eyes. He's still a relatively young guy, but he's the type of player that's not going to really develop a huge amount more. I think he's reached his kind of level, whereas the guys like Beaton that's coming in, and even Kyle to an extent. I know Kyle's a little bit older as well, but I think these are guys that to me have still got a little bit of potential or something to give. For some reason, I just seem to think that Ledley's as good as he's ever going to get, and he's maybe looking at his situation and thinking that these other guys coming in, it's maybe time to start looking for a move or that move. I mean, what do you think yourself, Pat, in the Joe Ledley situation?
I've said before, I think he's probably my favourite Celtic player. I just admire. Yeah. I really respect guys that play in his position, like have that sort of fitness level, composure, and all that sort of stuff. I like him as a player, and I think I said fairly early in this sort of little run of podcasts that we've done that my sort of concern, I think, even at the start of the year, wasn't so much the big names leaving like Wanyama and Hooper. It was more guys like Matthews and Ledley. Because let's not forget, last we spoke about the Barcelona game, obviously just happened, but the one from last year, foolishly some people are saying, we were missing Hooper from last year. Hooper didn't play, but in terms of the midfield, Wanyama's gone, but we were also missing Ledley from last year as well. I'm fairly certain he played in it, but so you take away Ledley and Wanyama and you put in pretty much Charlie Mulgrew to replace that. Now, no offence to him, but in his third, fourth, fifth best position in the team, he's not going to fill that same gap and have the same impact that someone like Joe Ledley would. So he was a massive loss for us. A massive loss for us in that game during the week, because Brown was pretty much playing the lone, experienced sort of midfield role. So yeah, I mean, Wanyama, big miss, but we have to deal with that. But to get a second one out of there, it was pretty sad for me, and pretty unfortunate for Celtic, I guess, because you're not really seeing the true, I guess, potential of the team when you've got the engine pretty much of the team missing. So, and look, he's clearly injured because his performances even at the start of the season were fairly average, and that's maybe why you see someone like Beaton coming in, that they've said, look, get Beaton in and get him in, and a young guy, great potential, and I do like the look of him. I've got to say, the few couple of games I've seen him, I do like the touch he has, and he's got a bit of dig in him, and he does track back pretty well. So there's certainly elements of his play that I genuinely truly like. Is he a replacement for Joe Ledley? Oh, I don't know. I mean, Joe Ledley's got a bit going forward as well, going in an offensive sort of mode. I haven't seen enough of that with Beaton yet, but he's the sort of guy that plays smart as well. So I think he was a massive loss for the Barcelona game. And it looks, I was picking up some of the tweets from Celtic. So Lennon, this is from Lennon's press conference. He's saying that Sammy wasn't playing because he had a virus. He'll see how he goes. Beaton had the same problem, so it looks as if he's not playing. He had it before the game, but trained today. Hope he'll be okay. Bo Rigter, Ledley, and Moyo Kolo not fit either. So he's obviously had a serious injury that he's been carrying in games at the start of the season, which obviously was impacting his performance, because like everyone could see clearly that he wasn't the same player. And it's maybe, just get him out, let him get recovered, and then bring in someone who, like a young guy with a bit of, I guess, a bit of ambition to try and push for that position, which I think Beaton probably is. But I think there was a few things about Beaton's maybe be more of a defensive midfielder, but hopefully it's not purely just sort of defensive. Hopefully he's got a bit going forward. The YouTube videos I saw of him, he was certainly a guy with a bit of drive. He could certainly run at defenders and stuff as well. So. So I'll be interested to see
headers as well, isn't he?
He's a big lad. I mean, this is one of my, and it's not a criticism, one of my concerns about Tom Rogic is the fact that he's a big lad, but he's not really imposing in the air, whereas this guy, I think, is. And I think I said in the last podcast, does Beaton coming in, does that sort of signify things are not looking too good for Tom Rogic? I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but maybe we're just not the right sort of team for Tom Rogic. We just don't play the way that we need. We need guys that are going to track back as well. We need a midfield engine, whereas Rogic's really good going forward with the ball at his feet, but we need sort of strong players in the air as well, and we need guys that track back, which I don't think he necessarily does that well. So whether Beaton is a replacement for, not a replacement, but we'll I guess go above him in the pecking order, I don't know. Be interesting to see. Both really young guys with really a lot of potential, but I think first impressions of Beaton, I would at least give him a crack. I mean, obviously if he's injured this weekend, he's not going to play, but I would certainly try and give him a run of games. We're going to have to get a midfield partnership going before the Ajax game, and if Ledley's not going to be part of that, that's 3 weeks away, so it'll be 2.5 weeks away. So you've only got probably 2-3. Actually, there will be 2 games because I think we've got international. Isn't it an international next weekend or something?
Week after the home game, yeah.
Yeah, so we've only probably got two games before that. So you'd like to hope he's going to be there, because he might be the guy to take on Ajax, which is a fairly big, a lot of responsibility put on his shoulders. So I mean, who else is there? I mean, Bo Rigter's obviously injured, but he'll be trying everything he can to play that game. But no Brown in there, no Ledley. You're looking at Kyle.
There's Kyle part, of course.
Yeah, true. That's true. He didn't do too badly when he came on, in truth. But
I do like Kyle. I must admit, I do like him, and I know he's had his injury worries as well. But
see, that's pretty much the partnership you're going to be looking at, though. If everyone else, Brown's suspended, so he won't play. But you're pretty much looking at someone like Kyle and probably Ledley, not Charlie in the middle. Again, and I guess that's to take on Ajax. Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
There's maybe the whole Charlie Mulgrew midfield, kind of left centre midfield role that he's been playing a couple of times for us recently and against Barca the other night. That's maybe another topic for another day. I don't want to speak too much more about the Barca game now, because even though I said that's what we'll focus on, it's all we've talked about. I want to move on to some other things, but that's definitely one to talk about another time, I think, the whole Charlie role. But what I'd like to ask you now, guys, is there is a little event coming up, and Gary boy, I'm sorry about this, Somerset Tim, but you might not be too aware of this, but there's a little event happening over in Oz in June of next year in the Gold Coast, which is on the east coast of Australia, and it's happening over the weekend of the 6th to the
9th if we include the Monday. 6th to the 8th, but 9th if we fly back. It's a bit of a... It's been billed as the Celtic get-together, I suppose, but it's a kind of convention, call it what you will. It's just a gathering of Celtic fans from all over Australia, but also anybody else that happens to be in Australia at the time, or fancy just coming over from anywhere else in the world. Now, there's quite a few have booked up for it already. I was kind of hemming and hawing, but thank God I managed to get it sorted out yesterday. So I just want to give a little bit of a shout out as well to the Gold Coast Celtic gathering. There is a website for it. It's www.gcceltic.com. Check it out. There's a few things happening. Stephen Harvey is getting involved in it there. And there's quite a few more getting involved. Is Chris McMonigal playing a prominent part in this, or is he just pushing things out? I can't remember.
No, Chris is one of the guys sort of driving it. So
yeah. And
Stephen, I think, is sort of, we'll call him his 2IC maybe. Is that a bit insulting to Stephen Harvey? Sorry, Stephen, if you're listening, but
Stevie's my propped up at the bar man.
He will be, yes, and God bless you for doing that. But anyway, so I think to kind of summarise it, I guess, is that I managed to find some cheap flights that were on special through an El Cheapo airline. That so I kind of got in touch. So I booked my flights, and a few of the guys in the Jockstein CSC booked flights up to the Gold Coast for that weekend, and it was just purely, I don't know, just by chance. I thought, do you know what, I'm going to spend some time and try, because I promised to help out Chris and Stephen to try and promote it a little bit. So found some flights that were going same sort of airline, cheap from Sydney, and sort of posted on the Sydney City, I think it was Sydney City CSC. And then I thought, I wonder if there's anything from Perth. And so sure enough, I found that they have a special on at the moment that you can fly from Perth to Sydney for $75.
Which was a nice touch, Pat.
On the way back. So I was right onto our Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Kevin O'Neill, who tweeted me back. I should actually try to find that about, not tweeted you, I sent you a text message, didn't I? Let me try and find what he replied with, which wasn't very, very nice of him, I don't think, but LOL, I'm trying to mobilise a $150 million contract with BHP starting on December 1st, and you're more worried about my flights to the Celtic event. LOL. So there you go. That's the thanks I got for trying to help him out. So
I'm moving high circles.
It's a bit big for the boots there.
Yeah, exactly. You try and help somebody out and you just get shot down. So anyway, so Kev, let's tell the world then. Have you managed to book your flights? Are you going to come and join all these diehard Celtic fans in the East Coast?
I absolutely have, Patrick. I have. I booked the old flights, mate. They were all sorted, so I'll definitely be in the Gold Coast in June next year for the Celebrazione. And I'm happy to say there's another few from the Mandara CSC that are going to make it across as well. They've already booked their flights. So Marty Corley and Paul Stewart from the Mandara CSC are joining us, and there might be a few more as well. So I put the word out as well. Now that I know that I'm allowed to go, it was quite a bonus. So now that that's been sorted, I'm trying to rummel up a bit more business from this side of the country. I know there's a few from the Perth CSC are going to come across as well. So it's hopefully going to be a good little gathering. I don't quite think it's going to be a Las Vegas convention type thing, but hopefully it's going to be pretty good anyway. It should be good crack.
Well, just actually, if there is anyone across the world listening to this, not necessarily in Australia, but the Gold Coast is a beautiful, beautiful spot. The weather will be lovely. It'll be nice. So as a guest that time of year, what would you think? 25-ish, 25, 26 degrees.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's getting into winter time, but again, it's in a nice part of the country and a decent climate still. So it's still going to be fairly decent. Well, put it this way, compared to UK weather, it's going to be very decent even at that time of year. So
exactly,
get your boardy shorts on and your t-shirts, bring them over and enjoy the crack at the Gold Coast.
Yep, should be a good laugh. I think the guys are putting in a bit of effort. So Chris sent through a message to me the other day saying that we're looking at this particular Irish band based up in, I think, based in Brisbane. So we don't know how to look. They were pretty good, but I swear to God, there was about 10 guys in the group. Thinking, Christ, can we afford it? Yeah. Is there a stage big enough in the Gold Coast to actually house these guys? So, but the guys, so Stephen and Chris are putting a fair bit of effort into it. So, if anyone's around the country and try and lend them your support. It's they're doing the best for everyone. That there's no sort of money being made out of it. It's all going to be pretty much break even, whatever sort of however many people they get, they'll sort of put it back into the event. You know what I mean? So they'll get some more booze, they'll get some better food, and but there's boat cruises arranged. There's games of football possibly against the Rangers support club up there.
Conians.
Sorry, I keep saying Rangers. Pardon me. But yeah, should be a good event. But I think we laboured it a bit long on the last podcast. So I don't want to do it in the same way in this one. But anyone can try and get behind it. So Kev said, so GC as in Gold Coast, gcceltic.com, and you'll find a few basic details in there. And Chris has put a little survey thing in as well if you're interested in coming along, just like where you'll be flying in from and what events you want to go to. So if you've got time, fill in the survey and try and lend them your support. But I think from Melbourne we've got about half a dozen from our club already. And there was some guys that we met, not the last game before that. We told them about it and they were keen as well. So Sydney's very close. Sydney's only an hour flight, if that. I'm not even sure, but flights from there are all, I think, $130 return or something like that. So hopefully there's a few guys from Sydney get up as well to support them, and we'll take it from there.
So check out the website, folks, www.gcceltic.com. There's a bit of info on there and a few nice pictures, and there's a few girls in bikinis on there as well, I noticed. So that might tempt a few others to come from God knows where else on the planet.
For different reasons, Kev, for different reasons. So.
Absolutely, Pat, absolutely. Now, guys, listen, I'm conscious we never really properly finished off the Barca thing, but I'm going to kind of move it on, and we've got a game coming up against Motherwell tomorrow. Home game against Motherwell. A traditional 3 o'clock kickoff, I guess, on a Saturday, which sometimes is a little bit rare. But I guess we'll finish off talking about looking forward to that game and what we think the scoreline's going to be. I'll maybe come round the old panel just now. We'll start off with you, Gary. Boy, how do you...
Gary? Still here. You hear me?
Yeah, we're losing you,
Yeah,
Kev.
we can. Can you now?
Just about.
Yeah, I think you're now. Yeah, I reckon 2-1 Celtic. There's going to be one of those score lines. Do you hear me?
I can hear you, Gary. I think Kev's maybe dropped him off the end of the world. So,
okay.
Just shut up,
so,
Kev. We can't hear you, right? So what do you reckon, Martin?
I'm not saying anything.
Oh, okay, fine. he's in a huff now, isn't he?
You filled me there, Kevin.
I worry about the Champions League hangover, but I'm going to put myself out there. 4-0 to Celtic.
I don't feel the same sort of confidence. I reckon there's going to be a bit of a hangover, I guess. Looking at what Lennon was tweeting before, I think there's going to be a few guys out, a few guys missing as well. So I reckon Motherwell played well. I'm just looking at their last scores. So they beat Ross County, they beat Livingston in the league. Oh, they've progressed in the League Cup. That's a nice change. They drew with Motherwell and they beat St Mirren. I guess that's not a massive competition, I guess, but not doing too badly this year. I'll take will they score? You probably score. So I'll say 2-1 to Celtic. And Kev's dropped off the line. Jesus, well that's a bit disappointing. Our beloved host has actually dropped off. So yeah, I think the other things we're going to sort of chat about was just very, very quickly was I guess it was a couple of quick fire ones. Do you think we're actually going to qualify from this group for the last 16? And it's just again a quick yes no. Do you think we'll qualify for the last 16? We'll go out to Martin.
No, I don't. I think we'll finish third and we'll go into the Europa League.
Gary?
I agree with him. Yep. I don't think we'll get to the last 16. Not at this point, no.
Kevin? If you can hear us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're back.
Yep.
Well done.
That's good. No, I don't. I think we're going to finish last. And I think we'll struggle to get a point. I think we'll maybe win against Ajax at home, but that might be it.
Yeah, do you think... I don't know. I guess I was thinking along the same lines. I think it would be, at this stage, probably be happy to get to Europa League. I think it's... I think we're a team in transition at the moment. I think it's going to be pretty hard to come back from it. But look, who knows? I mean, once we get Ajax at home, it maybe gives a bit of momentum going into the next game. You know, if we can at least get through that with some scrape out a 1-0 victory, we've got a half a chance, I guess, to get sort of Europa League. But I think Milan aren't exactly playing well. I don't know if any of you saw the game the other night when they play against Ajax. The penalty, I think was it injury time or the last minute anyway. How they got out of that, I've got no idea. That was a disgrace. You think
it's actually done us a wee bit of a favour, right enough.
Oh, absolutely. But it was, if you think of the decision that Scott Brown, gets sent off on, there's a bit of contention there. Think if you're an Ajax fan at the moment, you're feeling equally pissed off with the I guess the reaction and stuff like it was Balotelli got the penalty, wasn't it? So yeah, I guess I was just curious whether you actually thought we can qualify from this spot, because we'll revisit again after the Ajax game, see what your thoughts are at that stage. That's why I wanted to try and do it. And I guess the last one, if you saw, was the Fraser Forster to Barcelona thing. Do you think there's any truth in the Fraser Forster to Barcelona, or is that just press talk, Kevin?
It wouldn't surprise me, Pat, to be honest, because the last twice they've played us, the guy's been outstanding against them. He did it again the other night. He made a few world-class saves, and they were truly world-class saves. And of course, the time we beat them at Parkhead the last time, but also when he played over in the Nou Camp, he's been superb against them. So it honestly wouldn't surprise me. I'd love to think that if we did lose Big Forster to any team, it'd be a team like Barca and would make a good few bucks out of them. But you're right. It could be. It's just maybe paper talk. I'm sure Barca might have an eye on him, but I'm sure they've got their eye on a few other good goalkeepers across the planet as well. So we'll see how that one pans out. But yeah, if he could make a few bucks out of him and he went to a team like Barca, good luck to him.
What about you, Gary? Just quickly, do you think he's...
That's new. First I've heard of it, and yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either. But I doubt it will happen.
Martin?
Look, I would assume it's paper talk. I would assume it's easy journalism. He played well against Barca. Barca will sign him. But it's not in the realms of fantasy for the simple reason as he's then played in front of them quite a few times and played really, really well. I'm just wondering, money-wise, what we really would get. I think there's also the England situation where I think Hodgson came out and said that, I think it's Hearts still is number one. I just can't see him getting a game for England while he's with us. In fact, I can't actually remember a player not already in the England squad playing in Scotland and getting a call-up. I know Thompson got, I think, into the B squad maybe or something. And I think that's just basically you're not going to get a good run in the England squad if you're playing in Scotland, which even with Champions League football. So I think he'll go, and I know I'm now off the subject of him, but I don't know. I can't see him going to Barcelona, to be honest.
I reckon there's possibly an element of truth in it. I think there's been a lot of good press coming from Spain on the Great Wall, I think, as they call them. So
La Gran Muralla, mate. La Gran Muralla.
What does that mean? I don't know what you're saying, man.
That's a great wall, by the way.
Oh, beautiful. The last thing I was going to ask, and I guess it was just a yes or no kind of thing, is did you see the Busquets tackle on Kayal, and do you think he should have been sent off for it? Kevin?
No.
No, you didn't see it? No, you shouldn't have been sent off?
No, I didn't see it, and so I don't know. I can't remember it.
No, I don't remember that either.
Martin, can you remember the tackle?
I'm guessing, Pat, that you're going to say yes, you saw it, and yes, you thought he should have been sent off.
I thought it was a shocking tackle. If anyone watches back, so Busquets on Kyle around the halfway line, and it was a knee-high tackle. And how he didn't get sent off for it is beyond me. But anyway, that's just my take on it. I don't know if anyone else saw it, anyone really cares, but it was. If you happen to have the game recorded, take a track back and watch it. And I was fairly disappointed at that stage, obviously, with Brown being off. A lot of fans want to kind of even it up when I saw that, and then nothing get. I don't think he did get booked for it. Sorry, I think he did get booked for it. But I thought it was a straight red. It was a shocking tackle, knee high. So, but anyway, that was just a couple of quick fire ones I wanted to throw in there and get your thoughts. I'll hand it now back to Kev because he is obviously the man.
No, do you know what I was thinking there, Pat? I've really enjoyed this last 3 or 4 or 5 minutes with you hosting it all and doing a grand job. You're producing, you're hosting, you're presenting, and all I need to do is say the odd word or two. It's brilliant. I felt too much pressure trying to do it. I just didn't feel comfortable. I think we should go for this model forevermore, mate.
So you want me to pretty much do everything, and you just sit there and go, "I know."
Yes,
is that pretty much it?
That would be the ideal. That would be the ideal.
Oh, that works perfectly. That's perfectly fair. Yeah, sure.
I wouldn't do that to you, Patrick. I wouldn't do that. No, I don't know what happened earlier on, guys. I think my little microphone maybe got a little bit tangled up or something like that. But I don't know what happened. My boy has been playing, of course, as most teenage boys will be doing right now, Grand Theft Auto 5 multiplayer online with about 5 billion people tonight. So that's maybe not helped the old internet connection at this end of the world, unfortunately. But anyway, he sorted it out and we're okay. Guys, we'll try to wind it up then anyway. We'll do the usual round the houses and give any shout outs you want or any promotions going on in your local Celtic supporters club. Gary, I'll come to you first. Any shout outs you want to make or anything that's happening in the Bristol CSC?
Well, as usual, shout out to the lads and lassies at the Bristol CSA. Nothing yet as far as I know, but as usual, the next away league match will be held at shown either at the Foresters Arms or at the Sportsman Bar. And if you like to follow the Bristol CSC Twitter account, it's at Bristol_CSC. I'd also like to make an announcement as well of another event called the Celtic Ajax Matchday Party that's going to be held at Amsterdam, organised by the fantastic band, the Ryans Band.
Oh, yeah.
They'll be playing 2 gigs the night before the game and on the day of the game, pre-match. And if you want to buy tickets, which are selling pretty fast, just either follow the band on Twitter account at the Ryans Band or the Ryans Irish Band, all in one word, and also the Ryans Irish Band .co.uk, and you can find tickets on there. There's a good deal if you would want to get tickets for the Tuesday night's gig and the Wednesday night gig of the day of the match. And it's £10 each, but I think it's 19 or 18 quid for 2 of them for two of those nights. There's cheap drinks and place to get to watch the game if you haven't got a ticket for the match at the Amsterdam Arena. So it's at the venue's at the city centre. I don't know if that's specifically the name of the bar or the club, but I think they're still to get a place.
I'm sure Celtic fans will find it if they make their way over there anyway, Gary.
Yeah, that's it. So that's the Celtic Ajax party.
Brilliant. It sounds good. I've heard the Ryans Band since I've came out to Oz, and I must admit they're very appealing to the ear, and I hope they come and do a wee tour in Australia at some point in time, because I think they go down a treat out here. But anyway, Gary, listen. No, sorry, on you go, mate.
No, I'll just say that you can usually hear them sometimes on the Celtic Dream show that Big G holds every Friday, and they're good to listen to. Paddy Ryan's a cracking guy, a good songwriter, musician.
Oh, they're really good, really good. But Gary, thanks as always for coming on. I appreciate you coming on tonight as well, when it was just Pat and myself earlier on, so good on you, buddy. And
thanks very much.
No, not at all. Thanks for sticking by us. So, Martin, I'll come across to yourself now, mate. Now that you've done your sausage casserole and no more fish for you, what's happening in your world, or what's happening with your local Celtic supporters club?
I don't know, I'm in the same one as Pat, and he takes care of all that sort of stuff. I just turn up every so often.
You just rely on Pat to give the updates.
Aye, basically. That's it. Pat, can you give me an update?
Any shout-outs, Martin? Any shout-outs?
No. Actually, no, I do. I'm going to do a shout-out, and he'll listen to it tomorrow morning when he gets up, to Eddie, my son, who got up the other morning and watched Barca with me and was very happy about 4:30 and watch Celtic. And in fact, Eddie's actually just walked into the kitchen now at 11:30 to get a cup of water. But a big shout out to Eddie Eddie Kelly for getting up and watching Celtic.
What age is Eddie?
7.
Good on you, Eddie Kelly. 7 years of age.
And he's up at 11:30, Martin.
He's just up. He needs a drink. He was in his bed. I'm not letting him up at this time.
Pat, it's not a school night, for crying out loud. Leave the boy out.
Come on, jeez, unbelievable. It's these parents should be
honest to God
held to task, seriously. Anyway.
Right, Patrick, come on. Jockstein CSC, what's happening?
In truth, boys, I don't really know what's happening. I think I'm not even sure the game's on tomorrow night. The game wasn't shown in either of the supporters clubs of Melbourne, the Barcelona game, because it was, I think, couldn't get a place open at 4:30 in the morning, which is not surprising. But I think the game might be being shown tomorrow night. I'm not sure I'll be able to make it, but it's so we show the games at Pint on Punts. Anybody wants to follow us on Twitter, there's JSCSC Melbourne at JSCSC Melbourne. So have a look there and follow us and come and join us if you're in town. I guess a couple of mentions up. Most people know about it already, but the Paul Larkin book will be coming out soon. The Ask to the Skiers. That's something that's pretty exciting. He's on the Celtic Dream show tonight. If anybody's sort of fancies listening in, but it's normally when I'm in my beddy by, so I don't normally get to hear these things. But that's pretty sort of interesting to hear. Again, more take on his book. And if you didn't listen to the Beyond the Waves show he did, that was. Yeah, it certainly whet my appetite and actually wanting to read this book because it's sounds very interesting. But I can't really think of anything else. Hello to everyone in Airdrie, and especially those in Gatley, if anyone's in Gatley listening to this. The Tamla Hill boys.
The good old Gatley.
Gatley, so anyone in Gatley and Tamla Hill. Hello to them. Hello to the guys in the Willie Gorman's supporters bus in Airdrie as well. I think it's one of the longest established supporters clubs in Celtic supporters clubs in Scotland. Probably, I'm guessing it was 1940 something. It was established, but anyway. So hello to all them in Airdrie. There's a couple of new supporters buses as well. I think there's the Neil Lennon bus in Airdrie as well. So I think they've sort of getting a few good turnouts for their games as well. But I can't really think of anything else really. There's some I pulled up here. Brian Murray was asking if we had clinched a lucrative Heineken sponsorship yet.
That's right. Still in negotiations, Brian. Still negotiations, mate. I've been trying to sample some more of their beer tonight to see how it's going, and it is still going down really, really well, I have to say. So the negotiations will expedite, and we'll see how it goes. But we haven't quite clinched the deal yet, but we're hopeful. We're hopeful in the next 10 years or so to get something sorted.
We're also interested to speak to anyone from Tourism Australia.
That's right.
We came all the way to Spanker Knob in Victoria. That we will be going across the country to try and visit some interesting places to broadcast from. So, interesting sounding names. I wouldn't necessarily say it's interesting, but we have a few places up our sleeve. If anyone wants to sort of tweet in with those ones as well. So, thanks to all the locals. Let me just take a look around. No, still no one here. So thanks to everyone.
You are 285 metres above sea level on a mountain or a hill.
Yeah, and it's bloody freezing as well. So thanks for that.
It's all good. Now before I forget, I have to. Kevin O'Hare sent a tweet during the week there, and I'm very surprised myself. I've actually remembered to shout this out. So I hope you appreciate this, Kevin O'Hare.
But Gary Ogue is playing in Rosie O'Grady's in Northbridge in Perth on the 2nd of November. And Kevin lives in some of the northern suburbs of Perth, and he's hoping to share a taxi with somebody to go to Gary Ogue's gig, because it is quite an expensive taxi ride, and poor Kev doesn't want to get down himself. So, Kev, I've remembered. You sent us the text during the week. I've done my damnedest to remember, mate, and I'm quite chuffed myself I have remembered to mention it. So if there's anybody listening round about the Perth metropolitan area that lives in the northern suburbs, get in touch with us, and we'll put you in touch with Kev O'Hare, and you can share that taxi to the Gary Ogue concert. Hopefully there's a few more and you could actually run a bus to it, because it'll be a good little night. Now, the thing that's intriguing me, guys, you're all saying about you're watching a Motherwell game and blah de blah de blah. I haven't a clue where you are going to be watching it in a pub, because it's not on Setanta. It's not on Setanta Plus. I don't know where your pubs are getting the streams from over here, because it's certainly not on tomorrow night. So I'm unfortunately going to have to go down the route of watching it on one of those specialist streams. Pat, you'll no doubt see it on good old Celtic TV. One of the worst possible coverages you'll ever see in your life.
Yeah,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know all about that now, mate. I know all about that. So, but yes, apart from that, I'll do my best to watch it on the internet somehow. Apart from that, I'll give a shout out to the Mandra CSC. We've got a supporters meeting coming up on the 19th of October, when there is definitely a Celtic game on Setanta over here against Hibernian. Supporters meeting. We've also got Celtic pin badges, the Mandara CSC pin badges. I'll try and tweet a few of them out, the little pictures. I have to say, I'm very, very biased, but it's one of the best Celtic Supporters Club badges I've ever seen in my life. Very, very biased, but it definitely is. So if anybody's a Celtic pin badge collector and you fancy one of these little things, get in touch with me. You can get in touch with the Mandara CSC, which is at Mandara CSC. That's MANDURAH CSC. Or you can get in touch with me at KJP O'Neill 72. And I'll let you see the wee badges, and you can place your orders for them. They're pretty cool. What else have I got to say? Shout out to the Erngobra CSC back in Coatbridge as usual. And yeah, again, just encourage anybody that's listening in that's either in Oz or might be in Oz round about the start of June 2014 to go along to the little Gold Coast Celtic gathering or a little convention that we're all trying to hold over there. It should be a good laugh. The boys are putting a lot of effort into it, and there's quite a few things arranged, as we said earlier on. But there's going to be a fair little bit of drinking going on as well, which should be good. So, but apart from that, gentlemen, I think that's pretty much it. Unless
we could mention that Effie Ambrose has just signed a 4-year contract with Celtic.
Oh, has he indeed?
He has indeed, yes. Just came through. I foolishly looked up news now, and the first link I saw, I apologise again, it's my second visit to the Daily Record in a week. It was the first one I saw.
Have they not just taken that story off Krauski? They probably have. They've probably just heard him. They've listened into Krauski and they've just put that in as their exclusive.
I've got one other tiny wee mention just for anyone in, well, I guess across Australia in January of next year. The Wolf Tones, it's not many people are kind of that familiar with it, but the Wolf Tones are doing a bit of a tour as well. So they will be in Melbourne on Friday the 24th of January, which is going to be a bit of a top night. There's a few boys in our club going as well. I don't know if you are, Martin. Are you thinking about it? Wolf Tones at the Forum?
Definitely thinking about it. It's actually, I think, the night before my sister's wedding, and I'm wondering whether I would go there, get absolutely shit-faced, and then struggle at the wedding the next day. So to me, that seems like a plan.
Good
So
man,
it's a certainty
good
then.
man.
So yes, Wolftones 50th anniversary tour.
We're all booked up here over in Perth because they're playing over here. I can't remember the exact date, but myself and my darling beloved Michelle, we're all going, and there's a few with the Mandra CSC. We're actually planning running a bus up to Perth for the Tones. We've got a good number of tickets booked already for it. I was at the Wolftones 25th anniversary live at the Barrowlands, and I was on their appeared on their video about 3 times, I think. So this is their 50th anniversary tour, mate. 25 years later, still going strong, still support the Tones. They're brilliant.
Yep.
I was going to go to their gig in Cardiff, which is the week after the Amsterdam trip, but you know, as just like, you know, in life, you can't get time off all the time. You have to. So I couldn't get time off for that.
You just need to make time, mate, for the Tones. You need to make time.
Well, true, because they did say this will be their final tour, as I understand it. So it'll be a big goal if I don't. If I don't go.
The Tones have been saying that for the last 25 years.
Well, I've seen the other Wolftones band twice, and they're quite good as well. So
yeah.
Close enough.
Like Kev, it's going to be one of those. Was it the final World Tour Part 1?
Yeah.
Kind of scenario. So anyway, I've got the dates here. Friday the 17th of January in Sydney. That's at Selena's, and you can get that through oztix.com.au. They're in Brisbane on Sunday the 19th. At the Tivoli Theatre, that's through Ticketmaster. They're in Melbourne Forum on the 24th of January, that's through ticketmaster.com.au, and in sunny Perth on Saturday the 25th, so all the way from Melbourne to Perth. So there you go, and that's through tickettech.com.au. So yep, big tour with the boys, and I'd been in touch with the guy who's doing the promoting of them, which is cracking name actually. It's Shamrock and Roll. I thought it was pretty funny, Shamrock and Roll. So I'd been in touch with the guy who was sort of doing all the promotion for them. So good luck to that, and I promised him I'd do a bit of a helping hand on a little podcast for all the 18 people that listen to it. So
it's all good. It's all good. Right, guys, I think that's pretty much it. That's been another marathon fest yet again, even although you were late, Pat, tonight, because you're dashing home from work and eating your fish.
Yes, I was, so I apologise for that, everybody.
Don't apologise for
happen
the fish,
again.
though. It's Martin that should apologise for his sausage casserole.
I'm apologising for nothing.
That's great.
I'm inclusive. I'm apologising for nothing.
Right, boys, I think we'll call it a day at that. We'll have another show, no doubt, in about 2 weeks' time or so. So until then, hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Hail, hail.
Thanks, everyone.
I would like to leave this city. This old town don't smell too pretty, and I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. And when I leave this island, I book myself into a soul asylum, 'cause I can feel the warning signs running around my mind. So here I go, still scratching